In this video, we are going to talk about the complexity of the digestive system and, in particular, its anatomy. The digestive system is made up of the gastrointestinal tract, or digestive tract, which consists of a series of organs joined in a tube. The gastrointestinal tract begins in the oral cavity. I am not going to show you where the tongue or the teeth are located because you all know perfectly well, but we are going to see where the salivary glands are located because perhaps not all of you know their exact location. There are three types of salivary glands. The sublingual gland, which is located under the tongue, the submandibular glands, which are located under the jaw, and the parotid glands, which are located on the inside of the cheek, in the area where the upper and lower jaw meet. If you pass your tongue through that area, you may notice some small bumps which some confuse with marks from having been bitten, but which are actually the parotid salivary glands, and you may notice them on both cheeks in more or less the same position. After the oral cavity in the digestive tract comes the esophagus. The esophagus is a relatively narrow tube, about 2 centimeters in diameter. The esophagus connects the oral cavity with the stomach, which is the next organ in the gastrointestinal tract. The stomach is like a sac with a rather peculiar shape as a result of its joining the esophagus from the side instead of in the middle. This peculiarity is believed to have the objective that after copious meals, when we press the stomach, the food cannot easily return to the esophagus. In addition, it is also believed that it can facilitate the separation of liquids and solids that require different digestion. While liquids would easily slide down the stomach wall into the intestine since they do not require digestion in the stomach, solids would fall into the center of the stomach to be digested. The stomach is located between the left nipple and the end of the ribs on the right side. Next to the stomach comes the intestine, which is the last organ of the gastrointestinal tract and communicates with the outside through the anus. The intestine has a large volume and occupies practically our entire abdomen. The intestine consists of two parts, the small intestine and the large intestine, which we also know as colon. The small intestine measures between 5 and 7 meters in length and folds in on itself to take up less space. The small intestine consists of different parts, the duodenum, which connects with the stomach and is very important as it is where most of the digestion of food and absorption of nutrients takes place, the jejunum, which is the intermediate part, and the ileum, which is the final part and communicates with the colon. The small intestine is a very clean organ, something that may surprise some of you since it is commonly associated with feces, bacteria, and a bad smell. The small intestine cleans itself periodically, and for this it needs to be completely empty, that is, there can be no remains of food inside. Therefore, it is best not to eat continuously. When the intestine is cleaning, it makes a very particular noise that some associate with being hungry. As we have just discussed, the intestine only cleans when there is no food inside it, that is, when we have not eaten for a while. Hence the association of this noise with hunger. In addition to being clean, the small intestine is a very complex organ that can be considered a masterpiece of engineering. The surface of the small intestine is not smooth, but forms bumps that are in turn covered by smaller bumps called villi. The villi are formed by cells which, in their apical part, that is, in the part that faces the interior of the intestinal tube where the food is, have a membrane that also forms protuberances called microvilli. What the small intestine achieves with this ingenious structure is to greatly increase its surface area, so that the 7 meters of intestine become 8 kilometers of surface area, and this increase in surface area dramatically improves the efficiency of nutrient absorption. Following the small intestine is the large intestine. The remains of food that cannot be digested in the small intestine reach the large intestine. Bacteria, which make up the intestinal microbiota, reside in the large intestine and are capable of digesting these food remains and generate molecules such as vitamins and short-chain fatty acids, which, because they are beneficial for the body, are absorbed and pass into the blood. Both the digestion and absorption of nutrients, which take place in the large intestine, are much less compared to what takes place in the small intestine. Therefore, the large intestine does not need to have a structure as complex as the small intestine. The large intestine also has different parts: the appendix, the ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, and the rectum that communicates with the outside through the anus. The appendix is an area that is believed to function as a reservoir of bacteria for the gut microbiota. When the gut microbiota are lost, for example due to excessive use of antibiotics, the microbiota can be repopulated from bacteria present in the appendix. Sometimes it happens that pathogenic bacteria reach the appendix and infect it, producing an inflammation known as appendicitis, which, if not properly treated, can be fatal. The digestive system, in addition to the digestive tract, is made up of other organs, which are also involved in digestion, such as the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. The liver is a large organ that sits above the stomach. The gallbladder connects to the liver and the small intestine, and the pancreas, which lies below the stomach, connects to the small intestine. And this is the digestive system.